Mail fraud, say consumer protection agencies, is the #1 source of consumer complaints in the Northwest. The U.S. Post Office is using more of its resources in fraud investigations now, facing a wave of 200,000 complaints nationwide during the past year. But as Randy Ripplinger reports, consumers are still sending mail fraud operators a lot of easy money.
You've got to hand it to the makers of mail fraud merchandise. They have a great sense of humor. Take, for example, the guy who sold engraved pictures of Abraham Lincoln for $10 each. His cost was only a penny. The Hydaswat, which would kill flying insects, sold quite well for $4.45 until the post office got the news. They also nailed someone who charged $3.95 for this universal coat hanger. Some crooks would make good creative writers, like whoever turned a spoon into a solid-state compact food server for $19.95. Or the one who labeled a piece of rope as a $36.99 solar clothes dryer. And while even those suckered in by the schemes may have gotten a chuckle out of the relatively inexpensive con game, the post office isn't laughing.
A lot of it for us is based on the number of victims and the overall dollar amount.
Gauge U.S. mail fraud perhaps by the fines and restitution the post office successfully ordered in the last year. They total nearly $6 million, but that's probably less than the actual amount mail fraud operators bilked from the public, and we're still sending it in. Northwesterners probably never saw the ad for an old-time telephone which appeared in newspapers in St. Louis, Missouri, Fort Worth, Texas, and several other cities, even though the mail order address was on Southeast Stark here in Portland. The E.R. Spencer Company said it had a limited supply of the phones, which it was selling for $49.90 in a warehouse clearance. This is the warehouse, an obscure office at 8844 Southeast Stark. The landlord said someone named Oliver Schneider rented the space for 3 months, he understood, for the sale of curb-making machines.
I didn't know anything because he called about it, and to make the appointment, you know, and then he called and said he couldn't make it. Could I leave the application? So he did it that way. So I never met him in person. But I noticed that was the only thing that ever happened, was that mail got delivered.
And disappeared.
Yeah.
Complaints through the Better Business Bureau have added to an investigation by postal inspectors. The post office is mum about the progress of its case, except to say that no charges have been filed. One postal inspector did say that it has been difficult to find Mr. Schneider.
State corporation records give only the address of an answering service on Northeast 44th Avenue. We learned that a box number in a Portland post office is rented by an O.R. Schneider, who lives at an obscure Cornelius address, a large home surrounded by concrete machinery and other evidences of prosperity. But Oliver Schneider was not easily contacted.
Is there a number I could call him at?
No.
Eventually, however, Schneider called us. He refused to be interviewed under the advice of an attorney, but over the phone explained that he didn't mail out any antique telephones because his supplier failed to deliver to him. Schneider claims he has refunded all of the money, losing $18,000 on the deal himself, because his man in San Francisco didn't come through with the order. While the advertising claim of a limited supply certainly turned out to be true, there was, however, no warehouse to clear.
So whether you're buying a shipment of antique telephones from some guy in San Francisco or one from a Southeast Portland mail address, the Better Business Bureau says it wouldn't hurt to check with them before you send your money, not after.
It's our #1 area of complaint from the general public. Mail order is our largest area of complaint that we have, so it's extremely important to know where you're sending that money off to.
Randy Ripplinger reporting for Channel 2 News.
Tomorrow, Randy looks at the easy money and the furnace repair racket.